I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and this is Easter Sunday. And I can't help but remember that in 1980, April Fool Day, I was almost killed. I'm not going to say how. I shouldn't have been able to walk away from it. And then that was Easter on that following Sunday. And it's where I was, and I had gone for a tox screen to see what had been put in me. Well, it wasn't done. Instead, some horrible things. A British nurse saved my life. English. It was all illegal. My kidnapping was illegal. Everything, the crimes stacked to high heaven. Nobody's paid for them. And I even mentioned yesterday, see, I can get in trouble for anything I say or do, but no one has been held accountable for the crimes that really stack so high. And that's what the FBI meant way back then, when I'd had a letter from them and two letters and been down there. I've been in their office several times. And this is in the period that I'm talking about now. 78 and 79, I'd written the book MD License to Kill. It's about the Tesla files and about you could cure an illness or create it and program people to do any act that the programmers wanted them to do. And now they can do it mass. They could do it mass back then. So how many people are walking around and they think that if they don't get involved, listen to this, it won't touch them, that they're immune. I wonder how many of you are walking around that are not too much younger than me, and then you have children and grandchildren who have been chipped right when at birth, or at the most a little later. Especially one way that's the popular way that I know of was putting chips in root canal. It's done with signals. They teach you the Morse code. And anybody else that comes out with this got it from me. I don't care what they say. The mind control murders were done in patterns that were done around me. You may get away with it. I've heard that there are those doing it. My purpose was putting it up here to help people. And now then I begin to wonder if they even wanted to be told. So let me just say this. Basically, people are running around thinking they're going to stay out of it. They're not going to get involved. It won't touch them. And they've got chips in them that the person, anytime they need them, they can start using it and programming if they're not already programmed. It's done without your knowledge at a low level, teaching you the Morse code. This is how it was, and it's probably still that way. Why would they change it? So it's done with signals. Like on your television, low signal. That's how you get your programming on TV. I've told it, and people hate me about my kidnapping, who my father is. This whole thing was a takedown of Edward VIII. Married my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe. I was born in 39, Queen of England, Victoria II. My father, because he was being pushed out with character assassination, married my mom, who I don't know if my mom was Catholic or not, but she was an O'Keefe. The O'Keefe family were from Ireland. They were American, born here, but they came over from Ireland. So, where am I going with this? I think that one of the reasons that they did not, the Church of England and the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Americans, back to George Washington, your land of the free and home of the brave was created in 1776, supposedly to get rid of the monarchy and the Brits. Well, what are you doing with me here in messing with our government kidnapping me, the monarch, and I am legal. It was made legal the day my father had the papers drawn up. It went through channels. I was born, I was christened, and kidnapped by them. Now they had to get rid of me. My father married my mom, not Wallace Warfield Simpson. She married a double who's lying at Windsor, Frogmore. Let's see, that's about where Harry and Meghan have a home. Everybody has a home but me and mine. I hope my children are safe somewhere. I have been kept homeless, brought over, kidnapped, and 41 at age 2, put in a pigsty. There's no other description. Every crime in the book has been done to me since. And I think part of my mom, they didn't want my father to marry my mom. She may have been Catholic. She was my family, my mom's family. If you want to say this, you have to say this under certain things. My mom's family were Irish American. O'Keefe, yeah. So I think that it would have brought about peace in Ireland more, brought us together. Now then, I wake up this morning, it's Easter, and they're saying they have a new Northern Ireland bombings and starting all over again. Well, the Americans were the one where you don't like to hear this. You may know it, but you don't like to hear it. You're the ones that, the IRA, you funded them. The bombing of your best friends, the British, and you kidnapped me, the monarch. I'm sitting here, and my sons, the heirs after me, have been through a hell right in front of everybody, and then me telling it and what you continue to do. I mean, I have had things just in recent days that are so sick and vile, and they get their kicks out of it. Now, I'm going to do this, if I can get off that pulling what hair I don't know if you can tell it from this. I tried to run. I just got me washed this morning, and I have pretty good shampoo unless somebody's tampered with it, which in the past that's happened. It's been a while, I think, but it's happened in the past. I tried to run a comb through it. I can't even get it in my hair hardly, what I've got left. Part of it is the air in here, and I've written or told about this over the years. I have an autoimmune disorder, and if I'm around toxic fumes, my immune system attacks itself, and it gets your immune system to where it's not working for me, it's against me, and it can affect your liver, every part of your body. I have a heart arrhythmia now that my doctor forgot to tell me about. I had to have 2 other doctors tell me, inform me. So anyway, that's another story right at the moment too. And you can get threatened in different ways. You know, I'm 80 years old, and it appears that I don't have anybody standing up for me at the moment. So you can go from there with what I put up on, if you follow me on YouTube. Now, I mean, this is bad. I tried to, no way I'd pull what little hair I've got out. And I had good shampoo this morning, conditioner for once. I had some really, well, when I say really good stuff, pretty good. So where am I going with this? I guess I'm still upset over something that happened, 2 things that happened the other day. I have gone to all lengths to live, to find my children. I have put it on Facebook and YouTube, hoping that some attorneys would step in and help. Civil rights, I've had none. My children have had none. Crimes, like I say, the stacking them, this is what the FBI meant. We're going to stack them. So you're going to blame the FBI? No, it's the people that were in collusion. When the police asked them to help or hurt, they did either way. They were told to keep their children from getting tickets or serving time for drug, or you can take it to hotels, motels, and health codes. It's been shut down. I have been run using chemicals, and they've been bad, and they've taken their toll. I can't hear now. My hearing in both ears is just about gone. Listen to this. And my bladder, I have a bacterial bladder infection that, so I'm assuming that where I've lived, if I ever lived to tell it, then part of it would, if it, let me put it this way, if it were someone else's happened too, it would never have happened. They would sue to high heaven just on any count that stacked on top. This has been ongoing since I was kidnapped. JFK helped kidnap me. His dad was made ambassador to England, 36, when my father became king, for the specific reason to take him down. They couldn't control my father. He wouldn't take orders from him. So the Rockefellers, Rothschild, Bilderbergers, Joe Kennedy was made ambassador. JFK's son flew in and stayed there on and off from 39 until he kidnapped me in 41. And his father was kicked out in 45. Now, Roosevelt Franklin was president. He was all a part of this. Really a sorry sight. His wife Eleanor was part of, with Woodrow Wilson, President Woody, right up here in Stanton, which so much happened to me, and to Anastasia right there in Charlottesville. She was murdered. They don't like to tell that. In fact, if you start telling the crimes they've committed, rather than trying to help, they'll try to shut you up and kill you. Do it in one way or the other. In one way is the way they did it to Anastasia, I can assure you. I know all about that, the ways they use the system to shut you up. When you look at what I put up on YouTube and Facebook, which I don't know that it's done me a lot of good. There's been a few people that have helped, and I appreciate them. So I'm not lumping them into this, but there's been people on, Facebook. There's people here that were in Atlanta, Huntsville, here, New York when I was up there, Washington, D.C., a CBS reporter told me that his friends, he called them at ABC, and because I had left a lot of stuff where I'd done the book, got the letter from the FBI, 2 of them, ongoing investigation, national security involved. This man from CBS had been a reporter, but he got one of his eyes put out, I believe is what he said, while he was up at Camp David filming a helicopter, the ground opening and a helicopter coming down. And anyway, he had friends there, and he said that all that I took to them, the book and letter from the FBI and a bunch of other stuff, that lists of people that mind control were used on, that nothing was going to come out of. It was on LaSalle, I believe it was ABC. It was Sam Donaldson was one of the reporters. I left it from Huntsville, my husband went with me. Forrest Sawyer was a reporter down at one of the channels in Atlanta. We took it to him. He was during the campaign I was in to replace U.S. Congressman Larry McDonald, who I had written about in the book, and all this happened to me, almost killed, how many times, but April Fool Day of 80. And anyway, he was at the campaign that night, the last speech, in 83, when Larry Flint flew me out to Hustler, because he'd been shot in Lawrenceville while I was doing the book by a program shooter. And he helped me in the campaign. I knew that mind control was used in programming the shooter. And in getting him there to Lawrenceville, there was a big deal about the subpoena and everything that was served on him. It was ludicrous. Anyway, I believe his attorney was killed and the judge was shot. Well, Larry Flint himself, his insides were blown all over the sidewalk with a magnum. You stop and think about it. Anyway, I was flown out there, and nobody would cover any of it then. There was a thing about Martha Mitchell. Mitchell was the White House counsel, I can't remember now, to Nixon. And they tried to, during the Watergate and all this, by the way, the 18.5 minute gap has to do with what Henry Kissinger was ordering right out of the White House done to me in College Park. I'd been taken there. So the 18.5 minute gap. So now then, if I'm right on with the Martha Mitchell, I'm trying to think, that's been so far back. It was when the Marshall came in. My husband introduced me to him, and I thought his name was Marshall, like my husband's name's John. It turned out he's a U.S. Marshal. Anyway, he told me, and I can't remember, I was trying to get some of this told back then, so it had to be about 1976, and he told me to not use my phone, to go to a payphone every time that I called him, because he said something about I was like Martha Mitchell. Well, she got killed. She was trying to tell the truth and protect her husband, who was White House counsel. Well, I don't know if he was White House counsel. He was right up in the Nixon administration anyway. You can look back in 76. I hope I've got it right. Anyway, it was about Martha Mitchell, and she was going from place to place trying to get help for her husband, saying they were framing him. And they finally lowered the boom on her, and they had, I don't know if they were Secret Service right at the moment, but they had her shut up, and she was trying to still call the media, just like I've done, and Xerox and take it. But then she got to where they secluded her there, and then she was murdered. Now, I don't know the Secret Service murdered her. Whoever the guards were that placed on her, it's my understanding. You could go back but I tried to tell this during the campaign, and I had stuff on me still. I went to Hot Springs, Little Rock, where Martha Mitchell was born there in Arkansas. I went to Los Angeles. You would think they would listen to me. I've gone everywhere. The only ones that even attempted to listen to me was when I was in New York City, and it was Reuters, the German newspaper, was the one that tried to listen to me, and yes. Now I'm sitting here, and I don't know where I'm going to go next. I've put up how I've been run using my autoimmune disorder and put it deliberately using chemicals on me. I've made the right decisions. I've put it up on YouTube hoping I could get an attorney. I had a policy when my husband died, ex-husband, whichever, it didn't matter. It stated he signed the papers. I didn't even ask. Anything that he ever had would be half mine, had or did have. Well, I don't know that, there's a question there, but the policy at death, 100,000, was supposed to be maintained. So this woman that supposedly he married got it, and I'm not going to say the agency here, told me, I was in there, and they told me, they said, your husband's wife, or ex-husband's wife, has your divorce papers. So she knew what was left to me. So it was illegal and fraud when she took it and signed it. By the way, she tried to have me killed in April 19, well, after then too, that'd be in November of 82. Yeah. And at least the cops stopped her. They didn't stop the rest of it, but they stopped her. Oh, me. And that's when, I'll say, what was her name? The girl showed up. I won't tell you how she showed up. And her name was Penny Lane. I